This is my virtual box. Please install your virtual box, mostly not with the VMware. VMware having some issues with the free licenses version, so I switched it to the Oracle VM virtual box here. Okay. So now I'm going to create a new virtual box. My Ubuntu server name is Ubuntu server. It's 22.04. And I'm allocating almost 4 to 5 GB of RAM for this, and I'm allocating 3 CPUs for me in order to make work fast. So if we give with the default values, right, the base memory, it will go with the base memory. For example, 1 GB of RAM and 1 CPU. Even the installation also will be very slow. But once the installation is done, we can come back and change the settings. But only the problem is your installation process will be the very slow if you go with the default one. Please change while before booting itself, meaning before installing the OS itself here. Okay. Okay, now I'm giving almost 100 GB for me, and I'm just clicking on here, and these are my default settings which I have given. My server name, this is RAM, this is the CPUs, and this is a disk space which I have given to them. Okay, now let's the basic thing is there. Now let's attach the virtual hard disk file. Not virtual hard disk file, ISO file, which is being responsible. This is this ISO file which I have downloaded. If you want to download, right, what you can do is download Ubuntu ISO here. Basically, why we are dealing with Ubuntu is if you want to learn Linux, right? We will definitely talk about the Unix and Linux after this also. Why I started this is it will take some time to install this process. In between of the, at that particular time, we will talk about this some history or something little bit about the Unix and Linux. Okay, and okay, now why we are talking or why we started with the Ubuntu is the first, I could say Ubuntu is the first preferred OS if you want to learn a Linux for the new years, even for the experienced also. It is easy to navigate and easy to, adopt as for the first time learners of the Linux. Okay, that's why they preferred it. And even one more thing is when you compare with the community support with other distributions of the Linux, right, Ubuntu is somewhat better when compared with some other free open source distributions. This is another one. That's why the people are also, even small or medium sized companies also adopting Ubuntu, or at least they would be using a Debian based distributions, even though if it is not Ubuntu. Okay, right? But Ubuntu and Debian based distributions will work with the package manager. The executable file is a .deb file only. I'll talk about. Don't worry about it. What are the terms which I'm using? We'll learn about it. Okay. Now what we are going to do is the Ubuntu has a multiple versions and different types of OSs. For example, server OS, desktop OS, for IoT devices, for the cloud. Okay, right? These are the things that Ubuntu has been. Earlier, it was only the desktop and server editions we do have. Now it has IoT and cloud. I guess it is also having a mobile versions of Ubuntu also. Okay, but fine. Let's this is what we need now, because why we are talking about the desktop or server edition is, right? Server edition is the one everyone will prefer, because it is having a capability of handling multitasking, multi-user management, and a lot of more capabilities than desktop version. For example, if you install a desktop version and try to create a, of course you can create a multiple users, but if 20 members logged in at the same time in a desktop editions of your Ubuntu server, your system will get hanged up. So your OS cannot capable of handling such huge traffic at the same time. But in case of a server, yes, it can do. That's why the people would be preferred, and most of the production servers will be having a, not like most of the things, always all productions editions are the server editions, not the desktop edition. This is what I can say. Okay, you navigate to here and download, select your server and click on here. You would be getting a, right, ISO file here. Okay, see, this is what it is getting. It's almost 1.8 GB, not almost 1.8 GB, less than 2 GB, and I'm just canceling it because I have already downloaded here. Okay, now let's do the same thing, and now let's talk about here. Once you downloaded and after creating this virtual box, come to the click on settings here, and then go to the storage of this your VM, select the control IDE and select the ISO file here. Okay, if you, I mean, generally you just download here. You click on here and then download it here itself, and this is the ISO file that we have talked here. Okay, now okay, once click on OK, and now you have given a boot CD for your OS, I mean your virtual box. Basically you are telling, hey, when you are booting, please use this ISO file for your bootable device, I mean the OS. Then once you started, it will start reading that boot, I mean ISO file, and then preparing all the installation steps and all. Okay, we can talk about if we are installing the steps of installation of Ubuntu server and steps for installation of Ubuntu desktop edition would be a different. The the steps involved in a desktop version, desktop edition is very easy, straightforward. It will have a GUI and all. You can just click next or give something else. I mean other options. It is easy to install. But in case of installation of server edition, right, you have to deal with everything with the command prompt and a lot of options. And it will show you a list of softwares. What are the servers I need to install as a part of a server installation? But in case of a desktop, it won't show you. It just click what is the RAM and sorry, what is the username, what is the where is the disk configuration I have to. These are 2 to 3 steps it will ask. But in case of server edition, it will show a lot of options. I'll show you. Okay, this is the one thing. It is asking for the which language, English, and continue. I don't want a new installer, meaning it is saying 23.04 is there, but still I don't want that. I'll be keep with whatever the version which I have been looking for. Okay, and it is asking for the keyboard configuration, and I don't want the minimized versions of the Ubuntu server, but I want I mean, basically what does it mean between these two here is, right, Ubuntu server and Ubuntu server. I hope you guys are able to see my screen. Please let me know, otherwise I don't want to miss this. I hope,
Yeah,
right?
we are.
Okay. Thank you. So I hope this is also visible. Let me know. I'll try to maximize it here. Yeah, I think I can't maximize it because once installation is done, maybe I can make it as a full screen here. Okay, even if I maximize it here, it won't be there. Okay, but fine. Okay, the difference between the Ubuntu server and the minimized version of Ubuntu server is, if you choose the Ubuntu minimized version, right, the size of your OS, meaning the libraries that is going to be installed in the minimized version, will be less when compared with the server. Okay, what does it mean is, you will see what is difference here also, meaning while installation itself, it will show a bunch of pre-existing servers that need to be installed. Meaning, for example, it will ask you to, can I install the Kubernetes? Can I install a MySQL? Can I install a email server? Can I install OpenSSH server? Can I install the DNS server? Can I install all kinds of proxy servers? All kinds of all kinds of servers will be listed in the Ubuntu server edition, and it will ask me saying that can I. No, you can, I mean, basically you can do select unselect of it, okay, and check it out of it. But in case of Ubuntu server edition, right, it won't ask you. Whatever is required, basic needs, it will go by default. Okay, we don't require Ubuntu server a minimized version. Why it is giving, even though people are not preferred? Because sometimes we would be installing the Ubuntu OS in as they mentioned, IoT device, for example, Raspberry Pi, Pineapple, some of the very lightweight hardware devices that we can install Ubuntu also. At that time, Ubuntu minimize server edition will be heavy for them, but still they still run on it here. Okay, now let me continue with the Ubuntu server here itself. Okay, I don't want to use the minimized versions of it. And one more thing is, yeah, it is asking me what are the default configuration settings for the network here. It is showing me here. This is my network interface, which is going to assign to my server. A network interface means, for example, in my laptop, I do have a physical two network interfaces. Those are the physicals. One is a LAN port, another one is a my Wi-Fi card, right? These are the two physical, physical network interfaces or network adapters here. I mean, adapters, it is when you say adapter, it is a hardware piece. When you say an interface, it is a software. That software could be a command line or a web user interface here. Okay, now for your network interface, your interface name is a ENP0S3. If you want to communicate with the network of an outer world or internet from my virtual box, which I'm going to create, with this will use this ENP0S3 as a network interface. There are some physical, there are virtual network interfaces also, which we will be assigning, especially when we want to connect with the multiple different VPCs which are in a private network. For example, in a real example is Bastion OSS. You might have heard about it. Okay, or Jump host. You might have heard about it. That host, the Bastion host or Jump host, is a host which will be interacting with the private network and public network. Okay, for example, if you want to log into your company's web server or web some of the OSS, right? First you have to log into Jump host or the Bastion host. From there you can able to access other remaining servers. Okay, because that particular Bastion host having a multiple network interfaces, each network interface is connected with some public and some private. That network interface will be like this. Okay, okay, let me do one thing. Let me go here, and I don't require any proxy address. I'm leaving a blank. I'm just going it. This is a default mirror address which is going to configure for the Ubuntu to download all the packages. Yeah, and this is the hardware configuration. Yeah, please use the existing all the 100 GB. I don't want to even split that 100 GB also. I'm going with the default one. The same thing will ask in the Ubuntu desktop edition, but with the GUI phase. Okay, so here I'm just going with the existing one, and here, and this is how my partition is going to be. You don't need to deal with all this. Deal with the instance, right? It will show you a proper one, but let's try to understand, even if we don't, because sometimes you may get a requirement, you need to do a partitions of 100 GB or something, right? So this is where you can click and then select all of your boot things. You can edit and then provide almost right, almost every options that you can do. What it is showing me is, this is what the entire 97 GB is been going to use for me. Okay, so but fine, I don't want other things to be disturbed. Partition 1, 2, 3. See here, partition 1 is a 1 MB, partition 2 is a 2 GB, and partition 3 is a 97 GB. This is what I'm going to be using it here. Okay, are you sure you want to continue? Yes. And my thing is learner, my username. This is the information that you are giving to your server. What is the username of your server, what is the host name, and all the stuff. I'm giving Learner is my server name and username also. And password you can give anything. Okay. Okay, now I am done with my user configuration here. This way we will be using a SSH access here. Okay. And yeah, I required a installation of open access server by default, because uh, you know this is one of the SSH way we would be doing to remote. I mean, we would be logging into the remote machine using this open SSH server. Without installation of this open SSH server, we can't able to log into a remote machine using a SSH. Okay. Since it is a server edition, it's asking, can I install the open SSH? Yes, please go ahead. Now it is asking a remaining popular server editions. I mean, server tools. For example, this is a Kubernetes Minikube, I mean, microcades, which is exactly equal to Minikube. Okay, a small set of the Kubernetes cluster. Nextcloud, which is another cloud provider to set up your environment with the cloud. And this is a Kanban board, which is related to the Scrum here, and containers, Docker. Okay. And what we do is we'll select the Docker we may require. And I required etcd. This is a small lightweight web server. And do I need anything? Yes, I need AWS CLI maybe. What else I required? Heroku I don't need. Yeah, these are the list of servers which has been showing us and suggesting, not like suggesting, asking us to choose which one you want. These are the enough. These are the enough for me. Okay, this is the main reason when compared with the desktop and server editions here. Okay, I'm done with selection of my servers. So once I started, it started installing of this. Okay, so it will take some time, because it will sometimes even it will update while installing itself. Okay. Yeah, meanwhile, let's talk about the Linux history, Linux, and something a little bit about that. Okay, before going that, any questions so far? Anything that you want to bring up? Please let me know either in comments or here. Yeah, I hope everyone is clear. Can you comment if you are okay? I mean, if you are able to understand about the installation process of the VirtualBox and the installation of the Ubuntu OS also. Can you please comment? I want everyone confirmation. Can you please comment on the chat, please?
So it would be the steps would be same for Amazon and Azure also.
Sorry,
creating.
Please comment again.
The steps would be same for Amazon and Azure also.
I mean, you mean to say the creation of
VMs on
EC2 servers and all, right?
Yeah.
No, it's a different basically, but yeah, it's a different. Everything was GUI based either in AWS or Azure. It will have concepts like a security group, volume selections, picking up the correct OS from the marketplace or the default ISO place. Totally, some steps are very mostly different. I mean, see, the steps that you are doing at AWS or Azure are the other side of what we are doing now. Whatever we are doing, or whatever the options that we are getting while installing the software, right? That is when you started the installation of the OS. But in AWS, the steps it is asking you before installation of the OS. Okay. What they have done is they have customized the entire OS and then giving you, and the customization options they are asking you before starting installation. Okay, for example, they'll ask you to choose the which type of OS you want. For example, Amazon Linux or Ubuntu OS or Red Hat, right? And then it will ask you what are the security groups that you have configured. That will deal with the firewalls of the internal Linux OS. For example, it will ask you to create some cloud, init script that is like the boot init script is responsible for before loading the, sorry, not before, after loading the boot, and then install this particular init script, right? So that particular deal with the init script of your Linux process. I mean, Amazon EC2 creation process. Totally, those are different.
Okay, now we are creating in on Oracle, right?
Right,
Oracle.
exactly. The Oracle Linux box. Why I preferred is, if you want to go with the VMware, yes, you can go, but you have to deal with some licenses and all, and sometimes it will tell you keep on popping up a couple of messages. But in case of this Oracle VirtualBox, somewhat less disturbance from VMware. This is what I preferred. Okay. Now let's talk about any questions so far. Okay. If not, we can continue, but I want a confirmation from most of the users, but no one has commented except one. Okay. Okay, let's say more of the cloud-based environments. Right, exactly. And now everything we are learning, why we are why we are configuring this all is about, we want to do some hands-on and we want to work on Ubuntu server. So if we, of course, we would be doing creating AWS instance when we are learning about the AWS concepts, and then we will work also. If you are not able to install the, if you are not able to install, a virtual box or any of the server, you can directly log into the AWS console, sign up, and then create an EC2. But I would be prefer that is again even chargeable. I mean, of course, even though it is a free, you have a limit for the free times also, right? So that free times would be having a, you would be consuming that, but preferred using this. And another way is, when you are working in any company, most of the times, most of their servers or environment will be in a cloud, but some organizations will have their on-premises setup also. Okay, on-premises setup means everything will be installed locally or not in the public cloud or private cloud. They'll have their own cloud, which is an internal to them, using OpenStack, or they have their own setup. Okay, let's continue here, and let's talk. I mean, before while the installation process is going on, let's talk about something, right? So there is basically the base before talking about the Linux, right? Unix we have to talk, because the Linux has come from the I could say from the Unix source. Okay, so basically this Unix was being invented, or they have written at the Bell Labs. This is one of the company was been there in 19s, I think, before 1960s also. Was not sure exact number, but this is the place where the Unix got invented. And even the Unix was being written using the C language, and almost for every version, right? The Unix was published after completion of a 10 edition here. Meaning before 10 edition, there would be editions from like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? These are all like their internal. Once they completed with the 10th edition, then they started publishing to outer world, and then they are saying, okay, Unix is one of the operating system and you can install and use it. But only the problem is, it is not, I mean, it is not the portable. That is the main issue with the Unix. Unix again, basically, again, I mean, it's an operating system, but it is a commercialized. And if you want to afford for the Unix one operating system, you have to buy a hardware. That hardware would be in a size of 1 or 2 bhk size. It will be very huge, and even that affordable only the commercial people. I mean, the biggest companies, they want to invest. So it's not easy to adopt and easy to not, I mean, it's not an affordable and not is a portable also. Okay, that these are the some of the issues has been come up with the Unix. Okay, later on, what does it happen is, you know, people started taking this Unix, and then once that is been done, right, once they announced this as a commercial, people are stating, I mean, people are started buying this Unix, and they started, only affordable people, using this Unix software again. For example, the first one who purchased or who one using after Bell Labs is this guy BSD software, which are related to this guy. I mean, which are like Berkeley software distributions, and then they have started building their own their naming. Say instead of Unix, they are saying BSD software. Okay. After that, lot of people started taking from these multiple versions and taking like this. Uh, you know, they started distributing again here. Okay, again like this, they started Unix again, they started BSD again, and finally, right, they have implemented their own OSs. For example, here they are making it as a Sun OS, for example. After taking the BS, they are named it as a Sun OS here, and they're stating as a next step. Like this, there are multiple people who has been taking the Unix and affordable at that time, right? Uh, which is not a net OS, which is a net BSD OS here. And right? So this time, whoever bought this Unix edition, they are very capable of, purchasing a huge hardware, and it's not easy to use also, because of the very I mean, for example, we are buying a laptop of Windows because it is somewhat cheap when I compare with the Mac, right? But if you are affordable of buying a Mac, yes, you will be going with that. Okay, the similar way people are adapting or using only the Unix operating system if they are of buying a separate hardware. Okay, and one more thing is, why they are using such or investing such amount in buying a software, right, and hardware, right, because they want to use it. So till now, what is the purpose of inventing this Unix system in a Bell Labs is in order to manage the multitasking purpose, users management, and a lot of computation powers. They have invented it, and similar they have used the use case of it, and then similarly other companies also using the similar one. Once they have adapted, right, they started modifying it and making it a commercial only. Till now, all this was a commercial part. Okay, in somewhere there is a Linus Tornados, I think Linus. I forgot his name exactly. Linus. After that, Tornados or something would be coming. What this guy has done is he was one of the student in one of the university, and he started using the free edition of a software, and that particular software is like been Minix, I guess, which has been again another software coming from the BSD again, Minix, which is again a GNU based. Okay, GNU based means GNU is another company which is exactly, I mean, now it has been licensed and all, right. This was one of the company that earlier days, and then they have, you know they have announced a free version of, I mean, free edition of a BSD version. And then this guy started reading it and trying to configuring it, and then what they have done is they announced it is a open source now. This guy has started, I mean, Linus Tornados got started taking the free edition of a software, and then writing a C programs and attaching to the existing OS, writing a kernel modules and all. He started doing of it. Okay, after completion of all the things, right, he has announced as a Linux as a one of the operating system which is a open source, and it's available for free usage, but not the commercial was they have get a license to not use as a commercial one. Okay, this is what this guy has done. Okay, so once he has announced, what that is happening is people started using a Linux again, and they started again building their own they I mean their own distributions. For examples here, for example, Ubuntu is another distribution which we are currently working on, and you know Fedora and RHL. Okay, RHL, Debian based, the Clean Linux. Okay, right. So these are some of the distributions of the Linux. What they have done is they started off taking a Linux OS, and they started modifying it. They started using, they started developing the GUI based applications. Earlier Linux, all the Linux was completely the CUI based, meaning which does not have any internet, does not have a user interface. Okay, for example, this way. And one more thing is, in this particular phase, what he has done is he has modified most of the internal architecture also. For example, if you take your OS or your computer, right, they have a multiple things here. First of all, they have a hardware. On top of a hardware, you have a OS. On top of as a part of the OS, you do have a multiple things here. And finally, let's talk about here. This is your hardware, and this is your this is your OS. Under the OS, okay, just here, this is your OS. Under the OS, again, there are two things. One is your system packages, but before system packages, your kernel will come into picture. That is a part of your OS. And once this will be on top of a kernel, under the after the kernel, you would be having a system packages here. System packages mean, for example, the internal binary files. When you do ls or cd mkdir, right, these are the binaries which will be do some work for you. For example, if you type ls, the purpose of ls command is to list out all the files or content in a particular directory, right? So these are some of the packages. And shells, this is one of the interaction that we do with the OS using a shell. So these are all the system packages. On top of that, we do have our application software. Okay, app software, for example, browser, notepad, all the remaining softwares that we are interacting with the regular base, right? This is the hierarchy of an application to till the hardware. So this guy has done a modification at all the levels or all the hierarchy, and then modified and given to us. That's why the people are easily adapt, and then able to change the modifications at each level. He also published how he has done it. Okay, and then by the time he has created one user base with the 1200 people, 1200 people, that is a very huge size of maintaining a user base. He has started, he got only when he announced as an open source software for this OS. Okay, otherwise the previous versions of these guys was not having huge interface, huge user base, because it is a commercial. It does not have any community support. Even if we want to get a support from they need to be like it is a complete commercialized. And even one more thing is, it is not portable. Once he started writing, before that it started, the portability has become very easy. The hardware size has becoming less from in a journey of from Unix to Linux. Here it is come as a small size of hardware. For example, we have a compatible laptop which is a very portable to us to carry anywhere. But in case of a Unix, right, it is a 2 BHK or 1 BHK kind of thing. In between of journey from Unix to Linux, right, the hardware is also has reduced, in order to maintain the software, especially, the functionalities of the OS also got, increased because of the hardware reduction and all, right. These are the some of the benefits that, and these are the some of the transformations has been happened between from Linux to Unix, sorry, Unix to Linux. And this is how these guys, once they started the open source, these guys, what they has done is they have taken a source code and then they started building a GUI application using a C++, Java applets and different languages, .NET and all. Especially .NET has been dealing with the Windows OS. That is another that will come from here. It won't come from the Linux. That will also, the base OS for the Microsoft OS is also as a Unix. That is another wing. Okay, and that's how they started off using it. And okay, so like this, the entire transformation has been done here. But once, for example, if you take these guys, right, RHL, these are the commercialized version. What they have done is, even though they have taken a base OS as a Linux, they started modifying again the kernel level or some OS level or the app level, and they're starting, they started commercializing also here. Why? Because I think if you take about, if you're talking, or if you look at any of the organizations, their production servers, mostly it would be Oracle Linux or, RHL based. These are their environments, right? Because if something happened, we'll be getting a help from RHL support. But when they are investing on one particular software, right, they won't care about some money in terms of getting a support here. And one more thing is, even though people are adapting Ubuntu or Debian based as the production environment, they have a community based support also. The user base for the community base for Ubuntu is very high when compared with the other open sources. That's why people started using Debian or Ubuntu also here. Okay, and this is how it's been transformed, the small these parts. Any questions so far? Is it clear? Yeah, I think, yeah, Prithvi, I guess Linus Torvalds. I remember till the Linus part. He's the author of the Linux, and his name is Linus Torvalds. Okay, and let's see the. Let me know if you are okay with this concept and you understand. Yeah, I think our system is ready. Let's reboot now here. Our installation is complete. Okay, and yeah, okay, our system is completed. It's getting rebooted, started. Okay, guys, I want a confirmation. Are we good? Is it clear? See, all these logs is happening, right? It is booting the entire OS here. Okay, yeah, it is started here. I mean, the entire thing is good now. Now it is also popping up some of couple of logs messages. Let's wait, otherwise it will disturb while entering the username and password. Let's wait a few more seconds to complete the entire booting process here. Okay, looks like we are done. Let's give the username and password. Okay, I'm able to log in. The username that I have given is one which I was configured while installing the OS itself. My username is a learner. The command that I use to find out which user I am currently logged in, the command is who am I. Okay, and you know, right? And this is one of the command that we do use. This will come very the basic one. Okay, if you want, you can note it down if you are okay. To note it out, the who am I is one of the command to tell you as a which user you have currently logged in here. Okay, currently my username is a learner, so I've currently logged in as a one of the users. Okay, now let's do some commands with the Linux basic commands here. The first one is the basic thing is I think you might already know about the cdmkdir, but still we learn about it. But before that, there is another command called pwd. Pwd is a present working directory, which will show you in which path you have been logged in here. Okay, you are under the home/learner. This is a path where you would be prompted when you logged in as a within a user. I mean, when you logged in with a particular current user. For example, if you have logged in with the root users, your root would be something slash like that. Okay, here this is the path where you would be landing if you logged in with the root users. But by default we won't be logged in as the root user, but still we will be logging as a non-root user. Okay, now the thing is, there are some commands. ls is a list of command. I mean, ls is a command which will show you the list of content. For example, here, okay, currently I do not have any of the files, that's why it is showing an empty. But if I provide -a mean all, including all means what? All means including a hidden files also, hidden folders also. What is meant by hidden or files or folders here is, in the Linux, if you want to hide a file or if you want to hide a folder, your file name or folder name should start with the dot here. Okay, for example, here if you see here, bash rc logout, bash rc, bash cache, bash profile, bash ssh folder, right? These are some of folders and files here. What does it mean is, these are all the hidden folders. When you just type ls, it won't show you, because these are the hidden files. If you want to list out all the files including hidden means, you would be providing an argument called -a here. Okay, so why they need to hide? Because these are the some of the sensible files and folders. If you done some changes in these things, the behavior of working OS would be, or I mean not OS, the behavior of the user would be something will be get changed. For example, you need to change only if you want, if you know it. Especially, for example, we will be doing it. For example, we will be adding a java path or maven path permanently. So at the time we will open a bash rc profile and then do the some changes, compile it, run the entire bash rc file and then use it. At the same time, if you want to generate some private keys using a ssh for copying your private key to the remote mission, so we will be dealing with the ssh folders. So and this is one of the things we have to change or use only when we know about the hidden files, especially when we want that. And another one is, it will avoid you to corrupt unnecessary. I mean, so it won't, I mean, for sometimes, right, by mistakenly we will be changing this some of the files here. Okay, so to avoid such kind of scenarios also we would be using here. Okay, now there are some other command, for example, ls we have talked about, right? There is another command called man, which is, what does it mean is, this is a man is a manual command. For example, you want to know what is the ls. For example, I'll tell I need a manual of ls command. Yeah, this is the manual of ls. Ls means a list of directory contents. This is a description of it. And these are the arguments that you can provide. -a means all, don't ignore entries starting with a dot. Dot means hidden files. Even -a means it does not list a dot and double dot. Double dot means, what is meant by here is, right? If you see here, the first two directories are dot and double dot. These are the default directories will be present in each and every folder that you would create. These are internal to the OS itself. We won't deal with these also. But when you say list content, you would be getting those also here. Okay, now let's back to the man of ls command. What are all parameters that is getting? -b, like this. I mean, if you want to know how to use a particular command, you use a man, which is a manual, and then a command that you want to find out. For example, this is the syntax of it. Okay. For example, I want to know about the CD. Okay. Or else if I want to know about who am I. For example, yeah, who am I prints an effective user ID, and it takes a two parameters. One is the help and version. That's it. It won't take nothing. It won't take anything else other than the help and version. So this is very clear. And this way, trust me, guys, this would definitely help you, while executing some couple of commands or which you do not know, especially how to use that. Okay, so you need to be also, I mean, just keep in mind, if you want to know how to usage, what are arguments that we can provide, man is the right one, right? Or else you can provide ls space hyphen hyphen help also would give you that. Okay, for example, I don't know how to use a cd. What I can do is cd space hyphen hyphen help. It will tell you how to use it. So it will just the main difference is when you use cd space hyphen hyphen help, the content that it was showing is from the actual tool. For example, the developer of cd program would have given you some manual, right? That will directly show here. Okay, but in case of a man, what does it do? It still take the content from this also, but still it will some more organized way. That is the one of the main difference. You can use either of the things. Okay, and another couple of commands are like you know for example, let's do one thing. Let's execute mkdir. I'm learning. For example, today is the 25th July. i'm just creating a I'm just creating a folder, and then I'm navigating it. If I want to navigate to the particular path, I'm using a CD, and I'm just listing it down here. Nothing was here. Another one is now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a particular file. To create a particular file, there are a couple of editors like Nano, VI or VIM. Okay, and a couple of other files also like less cat, a touch. These are the some of the, not like touch, cat is, these are the some. Let's is a editor, but still we can use to display the content. But mostly we would be using nano or vi. Mostly we will be using a vi if you ask me preference of it, because in some servers even nano was been not been presented, so we have to use the vi. EBA is one of the editor which will be presented in all kinds of distributions here. Okay. Now let me create some content. Let's take hello.txt. I'm using it here. Hello, how are you? This is my content, and I'm saving it. For saving, what I'm doing is, if you see the below of things here, right? You are been getting us some kind of information, like for exit you need to press Control X. For write out, meaning which is a save, press Control O. For to find out where is, you need to press Control W. You are getting some kind of a helpers. Based on this helpers and guidance, you would be saving this. For now, what I'm going to use is I'm going to write it. For write it, the thing is Control O here. Okay, when you press Control O, it is asking, is this the file name that you want to save? Yes. If yes, please enter it. That's it, and you have saved it. Now if you want to exit, just press Control. Yeah, you are out of file. Now let's see whether this file got created or not here. Okay, yeah, the file got created. There are some permissions like read, write, execute, and all we'll learn about when we are dealing with some advanced Linux commands. Okay, and now let's display the content of here. For display the content, you can still use the nano editor, and then use it. Or if you want to just, when you use the nano editor, again it will take you to the nano prompt and then ask you display all the content. But if you want to just display and then move on, means you can use a cat is another tool that you can write the you can write the some content into a file. You can display the content. It is exactly like an editor, but not like as a nano or something. Okay, so I mean, it won't take you to another prompt like nano or vi editor. In case of nano or vi, what does it do is it will, the entire screen will be get changed, which is nothing like it will prompt you to do something in the another screen. That is the major difference in cat and other nano or vi editors. Okay, and now I have displayed a content. Okay, now there is a something called we have to use touch also. Touch when I want to create a file without any content, just a file. For example, you know, test.txt. Let's see what does it happen. It has created a file. If you see the content of a test.txt, nothing, because it just created the file. Where do we use this is especially while writing a shell script, automation scripts, we have to create some temporary files and without any content, and later on we will be writing some content into the file, right? This is what we will be doing it out here. Okay, so this is one way of creating a file. Another one is first write what are, for example, I want to create a file called test1.txt. Okay, test1.txt, but in the same prompt I want I want a content to be displayed here. That content to be hello, how are you today. This is the content I want to be under the test1.txt. For this, you would be using something called echo. Echo is one of the function or one of the command which will be there in default in any shell, and then you use that, and then you will rewrite it to, you will write it to test.txt here. So what does it happen is the echo statement output has been written to test1.txt. This is one way of creating a file also here. Let's display the content of the file that we have just created here. This whatever I have given here, and let's do one thing. So okay, let's display this. I think date was not used because it was not been there properly. We'll be using some of the things. Okay, this is where we would be using creating a file in another way here. Okay, totally, there is a command that we would be using history, which will show you the list of commands that we have executed so far today. So these are the some of the commands that we have learned as a part of a Linux learning, and there are couple of other basic commands also we would be learning, especially the cp move, locate, find, grep. Not only those are not only the basic, there are some other intermediate also like apt get, tail, df, du, tar, zip, unname, chmod, hostname, ping, net start, trace route, nslookup, grep, w, get, tail, dpkg manager. All these we will be learning while learning about the Linux. Once we completed this, we will be having a good understanding about what are some Linux basic, intermediate and advanced commands, which will help you to debug a couple of issues. So this is how we will be learning about it. Okay. Yeah. Any questions so far? So Sandeep, you can stop recording.